Hey guys, welcome back to the next video. Today we're going to be talking about something very interesting. This is a question that I often get from my students, especially people that are beginning their work or their job in the 3D world, and they always ask me, what computer should I buy? Like what parts should my computer have for me to get the best out of the softwares that I'm going to be using? And today we're going to answer that question. So, components. Every single computer out there is made out of components, of course, and depending on which components you have, you're going to be able to get a better experience in your 3D workflow. This does not mean that if you have a very, let's call it, I don't want to call it a weak, it's not a weak computer, but if your components are not as powerful as the ones from a high-end computer, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to create the same amount of things or the same quality of things. You're going to be able to do great things. However, softwares might crash, memory might make things slow. There's a couple of things that might make your experience slightly less pleasurable. Is that the word? You might not like the experience as much, right? No one likes when their computer just crashes and does weird things. So there's always, of course, like low budget PCs, medium budget PCs, and high budget PCs. Today I'm gonna be showing you what a medium budget PC would look like. This is roughly what I started with 10 years ago. Nowadays, I would think my computer is considered a high-end one, but you can start with a medium spec, even with a low spec one, and you should be fine. So I'm gonna be using this site called Newegg. I know this is not available for everyone. It's not available for me actually. Like I'm not in the US, so I don't think they shipped all the way over here, and if they do, it's probably expensive. But they have this thing called Build Your PC that will allow me to show you some very important things about building your own PC. You always have the option to buy a pre-built PC, which if you can afford and you don't want to be messing around with connecting things and stuff, it's a perfectly valid option. Just go for something that's inside of your budget, and you should be fine. But take into consideration what I'm about to say right here. So I'm going to go into PC Builder right here. And I am gonna start with the CPU. I always like to start with the CPU. So the CPU is the brain of your computer. The faster the CPU, the faster it's gonna be able to do operations, load things, and stuff like that. So there's two main brands: AMD with the Ryzen series and Intel with the i series. So i7, i5, i3. There are others like what's the name? Xeon and stuff, but that's more for like server things. For us as artists, we usually go with either an Intel i core or a Ryzen. I personally am using a Ryzen i7 in my computer right now. However, I've been thinking about building one with an AMD Ryzen. So let's say I'm going to go for this one right here. How are you going to measure a good processor? Usually, the number of cores and the core clock is what you're going to be looking at. Of course, check the reviews and stuff, but the higher the cores and the higher the clock, the better it's going to be. So, for instance, this AMD Ryzen, 8 cores with 3.8, that's perfectly fine. And the price, even though it's a little bit high, it's not super super high, especially since it's a very important component of the computer. If you want to go for budget options, don't worry, you can go like a couple of generations back. Usually when you see the numbers here, like for instance this AMD Ryzen 7 58, this means that is a 5th generation Ryzen. This one, 56, that's a 5th generation, but this one, 33, that's a 3rd generation. So the older the generations, the cheaper they're going to be. So I could go, for instance, for an AMD Ryzen 3rd generation, which is going to be almost $100 cheaper than the one on the 5th generation. However, it might be also a little bit weaker. Let's say I have a lot of money right now and I'm going to be going for the AMD Ryzen 7. So I select that one. Now comes the most important part, and unfortunately I have had students that mess this up. These CPUs match a very specific socket on your motherboard. So make sure that you're completely, like 100% sure that the motherboard you're getting will accept the CPU that you're buying, okay? This sort of sites like Newegg will not let you buy something that does not match your previous elements. But if you're doing this like on separate like shopping sprees or something in Amazon or whatever, then in those cases, yeah, you definitely need to make sure that the socket that you're going for, which in this case you can see it here, socket AM4, matches the processor that you have. So if I select a motherboard, it's this site specifically is gonna give me all of the different motherboards. Another little trick here, you can use this site to check which components you want, and then you can look those components elsewhere. Like you're not completely tied down to buying them from here. So if you can find them cheaper somewhere else, go for it. Like it's your money. So let's say we want to go for something simple. Like there's of course some really expensive motherboards that promise like the best possible management of your bandwidth and of your memory and stuff. Usually, as long as you're in like the mid-range prices, you should be fine. I would strongly advise against going with that like super cheap options here. Like sometimes you'll find options like this one right here, $90. I wouldn't risk my processor because on a power outage or like an electrical storm, if you don't have a switch break or something, if you have a very cheap motherboard, it can burn, and if it burns, it can burn other things, and that like is very bad. So try to go for something a little bit higher. So in this case, something like this is fine, $195. It has Wi-Fi on it. That's very important. If you're not going to be using Ethernet connection or LAN connection, you definitely want a motherboard that has Wi-Fi on board. So let's go with this one right here. After this, the next very important thing that, again, some people miss, but in this new age, it's very difficult to miss it because most of us that are building a computer know what we're doing. But if this is your first time, there's also another thing that you need to check. The motherboard that you're buying, the same way we checked which motherboard to buy depending on the CPU, well, depending on which motherboard you got, you're going to be able to get certain types of RAM. RAM is the memory that your computer uses while it's trying to run everything, right? So instead of storing everything on like actual memory, it will use this RAM memory to have it there available as soon as you need it. You just open it. So the more RAM you have, the better. If you're gonna use Zbrush a lot, you definitely want to have as much RAM as possible. So this one that we just selected, this Strix thing, it says that the maximum amount of RAM that you can get is 128, which is way too much. It's a lot. It's great if you can get it there, but it's quite heavy. And it says also, or at least we can go in there and check, it should say what kind of clock speed for the RAM. There you go. So it accepts DDR4 RAM all the way to 4400. So this is really good. Usually memories used to come in like 2400 and 3200. Now there's all the way up to 4400. Of course, again, the higher the number, the better. But again, it's also going to be expensive. So I'm going to go here into memory. For a mid-level computer, I recommend 16 gigs of RAM. If you can get to 32 gigs of RAM, that's even better. I personally have 32 gigs of RAM on my computer right now, I think. I'm planning on going all the way to 64, which is the next jump. But of course, it's a little bit expensive, right? So for instance, this one right here, as you can see, it's a DDR4, perfect. It's at 3200, so it's not the topmost clock speed that we can get for our RAM, but it's a good price, and it's 32 gigs of RAM, so that's really, really good. If we were to go for like the 3600, you can see here the price, it's almost the same, and for what we do, you will feel a little bit of the difference, but it's not that bad. So as long as you can get 32 gigs, like with 3200, 3600, that's completely fine. So let's just grab this guy right here. There we go. Some of them have like lights and stuff. I consider that to be non-essential. Some people really like the aesthetics of them. Up to you, but yeah. Now comes the tricky part, which is the graphics card. So graphics cards right now, at the time of this recording, which is August something, 1st or 2nd, they are in a crisis. There's a chip crisis, so they're really, really expensive. So if you wanted to go like this one, like the 3060, which is a really good graphics card, the price is really, really high to what's supposed to be. If you check the MSRP, the recommended price point, it should be $329. Like that should be the price that you're buying this at. So it's almost $200 above like the market price that it should have. Why? Because there's so few out there that everyone's of course trying to get one for themselves. Even like the 3080, which is the one I'm hunting. This one is like really, really expensive, right? It shouldn't be this high. I think it's like $600 the MSRP. So my advice would be, if you have money, go for that. Even though you know that right now you're paying an upscale or upsell market price. If not, try going for something a little bit lower, like a couple of generations ago, like the 1070, for instance. 1070 was like 3 years ago. And the prices, it shouldn't be that bad. Like this one is actually really bad. $1,000, that's way too much. Don't follow my advice then. Don't go for something like that. Just in this case, try to find the best card for the market that you're going for, right? There's also two brands of cards. It's the Nvidias and the AMDs. I personally very strongly recommend that you try to get yourself an Nvidia because, for instance, Arnold Renderer, what else? Substance Painter, Unreal Engine, of course. Like, there's a lot of softwares out there that have a lot of alliances with NVIDIA, and they develop technologies that these cards can utilize. So a lot of the GPU renderers out there will make better use of your card here, of your NVIDIA card, than the ones from AMD. So yeah, I would 90% of the times go for an NVIDIA rather than going for an AMD in regards to cards. And the way you're going to identify which card is better, of course, is the price, but it's also the number and the memory. So the first number usually talks about the generation. This is the 30 generation, RTX 30. And the second number talks about how high on the generation they are. So a 3080, as you can see, it's one of the most expensive ones, will have more advanced things than a 3060. However, and here's where things get a little bit confusing, you might see this sort of thing, right? Like, you're like, hey, why does a 3080 only have 10 gigs of memory while that 3060 has 12 gigs of memory? Isn't memory better? Yes, but there's other things that come with the higher cards that are not gonna be there. A while ago, it was something called like the CUDA cores. Right now, it's something called like the boost clock right here, the memory clock. Like this one, for instance, has 1830 megahertz in the clock. And if we take a look at this guy right here, it has CUDA cores actually. It doesn't have like the clock. Effective memory card 15 gigabytes per second. This one has, I believe, 19 gigabytes per second. So even though, yes, you have lower, see the difference in CUDA cores. 8700 against 3500. So this guy has double the amount of CUDA cores that this guy right here. And CUDA cores are really, really good because those are the guys that do the math very much. Like they're the ones that pull the energy and create the things that we want. So yeah, this guy, of course, is going to be way, way better, even though it's way pricier. So let's select that guy. Now, after that, you're pretty much done. Like those 4 pieces, I'm going to keep the item. Actually, I think I got a warning there about like something. Okay, let's say we go for like the 3060. Yeah, that's fine. That's the, what's it say? Okay, yeah, I want to keep the item. That's fine. Or whatever. Like even if we can't like add that card, like again, cards are fine. Now, after that, everything is very simple. You're just going to select a hard drive. I recommend an SSD for your main drive and a normal HDD for for just like file storage and stuff. You're going to select the case, go for aesthetics or for utility, whatever works for you. Power supply. Do not, and I repeat, do not underestimate the power supply. I had an issue with my computer a couple years ago where the power supply just like exploded completely because I was doing something very, very heavy and it just couldn't handle it. So definitely invest on a good power supply. Some people go for like the cheapest option, like 43 bucks. Don't do that, guys. Go for like a good one, plus gold certified. That's the best ones. Depending on how many components you're thinking about having, like how many hard drives or maybe like a CD room or DVD room or whatever, you might want to have more wattage. I think the one that I have right now is this one, which is 100 watts, so I can plug everything there. It is pricier, as you can see here, like way pricier than like a traditional, like simple one, but it's never failed me, so I strongly recommend about that. And I think that's it. Yeah, you can go fancy with the CPU cooler with like the cold or liquid cooling or stuff, but it's usually not that important. Accessories, again, whatever you want, headset, keyboard, mechanical keyboard, whatever you want. But the most important things are these main 4 things. Your processor needs to match your motherboard. The RAM needs to be compatible with the motherboard, and the graphics card needs to be, again, compatible with everything else. So once you have those 4 main things, everything else is just like easy things. A good power supply, a good like storage device, like a good SSD and a good hard drive, and that should be good. Now, I'm gonna leave this out of this thing, and let's go for this element right here. Like, let's say we just wanted to buy like a pre-built one, and if we go here, it's a Core i7. That's fine. A good a good RAM. How much? There 32 gigs of RAM. Now here again, this is the Radeon AMD, so I would probably delete this one and try to get an NVIDIA one. This is fine. This is fine. Windows, nice radiator for the or water cooler for the. I think this is for the processor for the CPU. Sorry. So you can see that it's about $2,000. That's roughly what you're gonna be going for. Here in Mexico, I can build a computer, like a mid-range computer, probably for like $1,000 because some components are a little bit cheaper. But I would definitely try to go for like probably like a $2,000 budget. Between $1,500 and $2,000, I think would be my ideal price for an entry level computer or mid-range level computer that should last 3 or 4 years. And the cool things about CPUs, or like the big cases, of course, is that you're going to be able to swap things out. So if you have very low RAM and then you want to increase it, just add more RAM and that's fine. If you were to buy a laptop, which I do have one, but it's not ideal. I don't actually like it that much because the components are not easily swappable. So after 3 or 4 years, the laptop just becomes kind of like obsolete. It will be very slow and there's nothing you can do with the newer programs. So strongly recommend a good rig right here. And yeah, guys, I mean, that's it. Hopefully with this information you are a little bit more prepared about buying your computer. Again, two main options. You just buy one that's already pre-built, just check the components and make sure that they match with something close to what I told you here, and you're gonna be fine. Or try to buy all the components yourself and assemble it. Assembly is not that difficult. It's just following instructions and going one by one, piece by piece, like assembling everything. It used to be very complicated back in the day, but now it's pretty much like just like a plug and play. So you should be good. And that's it. This is the end of this video. I know this is a little bit different to the videos that we normally do. Let us know if you like them. If you want to if you want to learn a little bit more about other stuff regarding the general job that we do that might not have to do with 3D specifically, and I'll be happy to help. So leave us your likes, leave us your shares, or share the video, leave us a comment, and I'll see you back in the next video. Bye bye.